This is going to show how to make a card similar to this using our rainbow paper pack and some paper punches and peel off stickers. Quite a quick and easy card to make. We sell paper packs of 24 sheets of mixed colours, and this is our rainbow selection. It's not a full pack because I've used some, but you'll see it comes with a very pale, a dark and a medium rainbow. And for this card we're going to use the pale. It's got a really gorgeous blend of colours, I think, and very pastel and pretty. As well as the paper, we're going to need a ZL713, which has very many different size dots. This one's in silver and clear, which is what we're using for this project. You'll see you get some quite small ones up to some fairly large ones, so they're quite versatile and useful. This is our leaves sheet, ZL779. Again, we have large and small leaves, and if you wanted to use small dots you wouldn't actually need the dot sheet, but in some cases I've used the larger dots, so I've added that. Then we have our XL561, which has different stems on it, and this is the one we've been using. And then a general birthday sheet, which is XL648. Here you can have just to say happy birthday, just for you, or birthday wishes, so it's quite a handy sheet. And then the other thing we're going to need is paper punches. Exactly what paper punches really don't matter. I'm using this for the flower. It's a 15mm flower. Basically any flower would be okay, but this one's still currently available if you wanted it, and it's PPU 245. Then we have a butterfly, again optional. You can use big butterflies, small butterflies, whatever you want to, but this one is PPU 235, and that's a 22mm butterfly. We're going to start by paper punching the sheet. We're going to use the green for the leaves and rather than the flowers, so I use my paper punch upside down. The reason for that is you save a lot of paper. You can actually see where you're going. I put it in, I'll use it past here. If you can put the paper there, if you're just covering the flower, you can put the paper there. If you can't see what you're doing, you'll actually lose about 5mm of paper. So I do mine upside down, and then one as close as I can to each other. And when it's upside down you can actually see that you're not cutting any flower off. So you might get 9, you might get 10. We've got 9 out of this one. And now what I do is gather those up and put them in a pile. And I will keep all of these piles in order, so we'll have the first row. And after this I use a knife and ruler and just trim off as much as I can. And then that piece is waste, which will go in the bin. And then I'll start again punching from here. And as you can see then, we get a slightly different shade each time. Okay, punch all of those. They're very, very slightly different shades, and that gives us a lovely gradation when we do the whole card. So I tend to punch the whole sheet. After this second row I'll trim it off, and I'll start from the top until I get to about here. And then I'll use this for the leaves, and you'll end up with this is the medium colour, you'll end up with a band across the middle like this, that's a bit greeny yellow, a bit bluey green, and we'll make our leaves from that. Okay, so here we have our piles of flowers, and they're all in the order they came off the sheet, so each colour follows on from the other. And then I have these two pieces left over, which we'll be making the leaves from. I don't need to trim this off because I can work from the other side, so we'll pop those aside for the moment. And then we start on the card. So here is our card. If we fold it first, now I'm going to place the words on this while it is flat, and I find this is easiest to do from the side. We'll use the Happy Birthday peel-offs. To remove the peel-offs from the sheets, I like to use a paper pricking tool, and now it does take a little while. We've tried to make these as light as possible, not too many joins between the letters. So if you just yank it up off of the sheet, you tend to stretch it and maybe break it, because we've tried, it's a play-off really between fineness and ease of use. And in fact, using them like this, if you just take a moment or two, it's not too bad. And then we're going to place this one. I use the ruler to try and give me an idea of how straight I am. You can move them around a little before you press them down. There we go. In fact, I think I want to move the happy down a little towards the birthday. Looks just a little high to me. And again, if you're careful, we haven't actually pressed it down firmly yet, you can peel it up again. Got to slide the tails of the P, P and Y under the ruler. There we go, that's better. Just looks a bit nicer, I think. The next part we're going to do is our border. We're using, there's two different ones. This one has sort of bushy sides and this one has like little bumps in twigs. And I'm going from about 1.5 centimetres, which is about there. I don't need to go all the way up with this because the flowers will hide the stem. So we really only want the bottom part of the stem. So place the knife on the peel off and pull the waste peel off up. And then we're going to go about 2 centimetres away from the first. And again. And then the last. All we really need of this is to be up above the flowers, and that should do it. The little bit of waste I just pop back on the sheet. It might come in handy some other time. I'm going to place a paper punch on the corner here to stop it flapping back up again, because it wants to be up in the air. And for this we use sticky fixer pads to hold them in place. And we're going to start with our first colour and placing it approximately the bottom of it about 2 centimetres up. I place the pads on with tweezers, and then if you hold them, you can peel the back, hold the pad down, you can peel the backing off with a thumb. So I've taken one from the first pile, then we do one from the second, and we don't really want them to be gaps between them. We don't mind if they overlap just a little, and we don't need them to be a dead straight line either. If they wave about a touch, That's perfectly fine too. That one's very similar to that one, so we're going to miss it out. I have 10 colours here, but I don't actually have enough room for 10 colours up the card. We're looking for about 8. So I'm going to miss out just a couple of very close similar colours on this row. And the colours that we don't use in this row we can add to the next row. Something along those lines. So you have a lovely delicately shaded row of flowers. And now we have the dots. You can choose what size dot you want for these, so I'm going to go for this size. And then using the tool, paper pricking tool, if you just insert it under one edge, use your finger to press it onto the tool lightly, and then your finger to take it off the tool again. They do pretty much behave quite well. And then for the next row, we're going to need one less, so we don't have to start exactly in a line either. I'm going to dip down a touch, and I will use the second blue, which is very slightly green, and not the first. And then I'll pop onto the yellow. So it's got a kind of downward slopey look because we're using the different colours. We can add in one of the peachy creams here that we didn't use last time, and it will just shake things up a bit. So it's something like that. Going to move that one over a little. And then the centres on, and so on. And we're going to work the other two columns in the same way. For now, we'll move on to the leaves. I'm going to use the strips that we had earlier, and we're going to use 2 different sizes of leaf. We need 5 of each, 5 large and 4 small. If we peel these off and place them on the greeny edge, I'm sticking them onto the paper, and then the colour of the paper shows through. We're leaving a little bit of the, I tried to leave the whole stalk off, so we're leaving the stalk off the edge of the page, and then we're going to cut around these. And that is simply just around like that. It seems fiddly, but it's quite quick and simple to do. It's just really following the line of the sticker. Try not to cut off the stem. And we're going to add a pad to the back, so by the point of the leaf, and then turn it over and stick it onto the edge of the card. Although this isn't right on the stem, we're making a kind of pattern of it, which is why it's not against the stem. And then our next one, so it's stuck by the stem that we left outstanding. No. So again, a pad on the tip. So it's stuck by the pad and then held to the page by the stem. And we're going to tuck it under the first, like that. We're making a sort of pattern along the bottom of the card, and we'll do right across to the other edge. We're going to do a similar thing for the small leaves. I think we're going to use the other side of the strip. This is quite a bluey green and this is a tad yellow green. So for these ones we're going to do exactly the same way, but so we get a slightly different colour. And we need 4 of these because they're going to go on the actual stems. They're not making a pattern, they're going on the stems. So it's 4 of those. And trimmed in the same way as before. And this one we're going to stick straight to the sheet. I'm using, you could use a little dab of PVA. This is our Zig glue. I find it is quite a nice glue. And we'll stick it on the stem like that, standing up. And then we have a butterfly. This is a butterfly punch, and we're going to do it in the blue end of this. Again, if we pop it upside down, we can see what we're punching, and we know we have the complete butterfly then. If we bend its wings either side of the body, we get a nice uplift, and then we'll put glue on the body so that sticks to the page, and then a smaller pad. For the flowers I was using 5mm pads, and for the wings here I'm going to use a 3mm pad. And then we'll just place the butterfly at a nice angle under the happy birthday. And then it's just a matter of finishing off the flowers like that, and we're done. I'm thinking you probably don't want to watch me do all of that, so I'll show you the real cards. So this is the card we made earlier. And as you can see, it's a slightly different shape. This flower is no longer current, but you may have a flower like it in your stash. And using a bigger flower like this, it's got a larger centre, so I've used the larger dot. But other than that, it's much the same. As you know, we have different colours in the pack. And there's no reason to stick with the same shape flower all the time. This one uses the daisies, a 15mm daisy, and I've built it up in the same way. It uses the brightest paper, and I found I didn't really like the mix of all of the colours together, so I've used a reduced colour palette. These are punched from a heart and then cut in half to make the leaves, and I've mixed the colours of the green again from the strip. My butterfly is a peel off. In the same way as we did the leaves on the previous card, we put the peel off onto the green paper, just the wings, cut out around the edge of the wings and stick it onto the card. And daisies often have a very big full centre, so I've used not quite the largest, but a large dot on that. And then using the others from the set, here I've used the same size daisy. I punched the whole sheet, and then I've kept all the spares, popped in a little plastic bag, and you can come back to those if you want a quick card. You've got all the punching done already. This one has used the same stem as previously, and at the top of this, to give you this feathery look at the top, I've used the other stem on the sheet, and I've coloured all the dots while it's on the sheet. If you use our Luma colour peel-off pens, you can actually colour all the little bits in, and you end up with an effect like this. I do it on the sheet first. It doesn't really matter if you go over the edges then, and then you can peel it off and it leaves it behind. This is again the peel-off butterfly, and then this uses the small hearts as leaves. So I've punched in the same way as we have been here. I've punched the leaves using a 10mm heart. On the flowers, I've raised every other one. I've stuck every other one down and raised every other one to just create a difference, really. It lifts it up and gives it a bit of extra dimension. And then if you don't have a flower punch, this one I've been doing with a heart. It's a little bit of a different technique. It uses, again, I've punched all of the hearts out like we did for the flowers, and for this you get lots and lots of, because they're so small, you're getting more groups of colours, and so I've been mixing them. So you'll see that this one's got the pale yellow and the orange, and then this has got the yellow, and this has got the greeny yellow, so it adds an extra look to it. I'll just use the punch to hold the corner down again, using different messages from the sheet as well. To put these onto the sheet, I'm using the same 5mm pads. Pop the pad onto the page, and then I'm using the two different colours of hearts. If you put the darker one on first, and as well as this, you don't actually have to make the two hearts go side to side. You could put it like at an angle, so you get more variance that way as well. So we're popping on two hearts, and then the two paler ones. Oops. So all of the flowers are made up in that way, and then we give it a press. And if I can still find my dotty sheet, I've used a slightly larger dot for these, partly because it will hold all the 4 petals together better, and you do have quite an area, and a tiny dot won't break up the area as well. This is the smallest butterfly, it's just a small one I had, and then the hearts for the leaves. Each one is folded in half and then glued at one half, so it will lift up a little. And again, it's a sort of pattern rather than realistic leaves. That's what we're going for. So, this uses the medium shade as well. So this is the medium rainbow, this is the deep rainbow. Then we have the pale rainbow and another medium. So quite a lot of variation very easily from one simple idea.